All right, let's get started because you guys are here on time, so we don't want to waste your time. Michael, you move to the next slide, please. So this is kind of our purpose for today. We want to alleviate any fears you might have or any concerns. Again, really get you excited about coming to Western. Let me start with introductions around the table here. I am Gordon Weinstein, school principal. I'll talk more about me in a moment. Suzanne?
Hi, I'm Suzanne Cohen, assistant principal.
Mr. Gavin?
As you will, I'm sure Mr. Weinstein will say, I am the other assistant principal, Kerry Gavin. Nice to meet you all virtually.
Thank you, Gary. Mr. Marmor?
Hi, I'm Ralph Marmor. I'm one of the sixth grade English teachers.
And the team leader, Ralph, that's why you're here. Come on.
And I'm also the team leader, yes, by the way.
Alex?
I'm Alex Chuck, and I'm the other team leader and one of the math teachers in 6th grade.
Miss Montague?
Hi, I'm Erin Montague. I am here as the AVID coordinator for Western Middle School, and I am also going to be sharing information about the school counselor position with you guys, who will be Megan Fina for you all next year.
Just so you know, as we speak, Megan Fina is having a baby. So she'll be back with your kids next year, but obviously not here tonight. And Patty?
Hi, I'm Patty Zamata, administrative assistant, or one of the assistants in the main office. Mi nombre es Patricia de Mata. Soy una de las asistentes en la oficina y estoy aquí para traducir si alguien necesita traducción para español.
Thank you. I think that was very eloquent, Patty, I think. Thank you. Okay, so let's go through the PowerPoint now. Next slide, Michael. All right, so a little bit about my favorite topic, which is me, and we'll just kind of go over a little bit. So I spent 33 years in middle school. I just think about that for a minute. You guys spent 3. I spent 33 years in middle school. I can't get out of 8th grade. It's my 8th year at Western. And I do this job because what we do is so important. There's a lot of research that speaks to where your child is at the end of 8th grade is kind of sets them up for success through high school and beyond. And it's actually the greatest factor of success going forward. Who their friends are, their work habits, the courses they're taking. Those are all things that develop during these 3 years that they're here. And it's really important that we surround them with the care and expectations that Western does. So I'm really excited to be part of this group. This age group is a lot of fun. Lunch duty is a trip. Walking down the hallway is a good time. Having kids in the office explain why they did or did not do what they were sent down to the office for. It's always an enjoyable experience. And also I feel your pain. Next slide, Michael. So I have 3 of my own. I still have 3 of my own, didn't have 3 of my own, but they all went through middle school. So Connor over here on the left is a junior in high school. Emma in the middle is a sophomore at UConn, currently doing UConn from our kitchen table, but is a sophomore at UConn. We're going back again next year. And as my wife said, to give the red hair as a warning to all others, and they weren't wrong. And then Jake over here on the right is graduating the Merchant Marine Academy in a couple months and will be gainfully employed, so off my payroll. So very happy for that. So, but I've seen these guys go through middle school, and I want you to know that Connor here came to Western. And Suzanne and Kerry also brought their kids to Western, currently have kids at Western. And they were slated to go to another middle school in town, but they chose to come to Western because they know how good experience this is. You guys want to talk to that a little bit, Suzanne or Kerry?
Yeah, I could just say that I have 3 kids at Western right now. So it's easy for me to manage my kids now with them coming to me. But my oldest is in 8th grade going to high school, and my twins are in 6th grade. And we were slated to another school in town, and it was the best decision I've ever made, sending them to Western. The growth my 8th grader has made is unbelievable. She's ready for the high school. I sent them because I just know that depending on, they're all different kids, no matter what type of kid they are, they're going to get the supports they need. The staff is phenomenal. And it's just been such a great experience.
A lot of similar things to what Suzanne said. I have a 9th grader who did 7th and 8th grade at Western after I got the job as assistant principal there. And I have a 6th grader coming in with your kids next year. I'm very excited for that journey to begin.
Thank you, guys. Michael, next slide. So I put this up here. Take a minute and read this. I'll read it with you. I'm looking forward to going to middle school. I'm excited and a little nervous. Somehow all the kids seem to like it, but they love telling horror stories about what goes on there. My parents are the ones who are really nervous. If they ask me once more if I'm scared, I think they will convince me that I am. I put this up here just because my message is Your anxiety becomes their anxiety. Your joy becomes their joy. I think the message we want to send them is they're going to a wonderful place. It's a safe place. They're going to thrive here. And then we ask that you partner with us as we send that message to them. Next slide. Now, these are not easy years. I don't know if you guys remember your middle school years, but they're rarely anyone's finest hour. There's a lot of changes that happens here. The changes are physical that you can see. You have these little sixth graders. They're 62 pounds. They're prepubescent. They're sweet. They're innocent. And something happens in 3 years. They get hairy. They get smelly. They get tall. I was an 8th grade student today. I was the shortest person there by far. It's just they grow so much. And that's what you can see. But the internal changes are just as significant. What happens to your kids in these 3 years internally you can't see. They say the 3 years with the most change in a child's life is birth to 3. The next 3 years is 11 to 14. That's called puberty. So that's when we have them here. And that's why it's so important that what we do is support them while they're here. And everything's going to change about the child. It's not our fault that they change their clothes or their hair or their friends. They're going to start pulling away from you. That's normal. That's healthy. Doesn't mean they don't need you, but your involvement looks a little bit different. And it is not the time to become uninvolved. It just looks different. And we'll talk about that as we go through this presentation. And next slide. Suzanne, you want to talk a little bit about what we do?
Yeah. So Gordon, you've all gotten a sense of what Gordon is like. You've probably read his emails. They're quite enjoyable, but they're also extremely informative. So he will get a lot of communication from Gordon. He deals with, we've split it up, Gordon, Carrie, and I split up by grades. So he takes 6th, Carrie takes 7th, and I take 8th. Carrie gets he's the lucky guy who gets to deal mostly with the discipline. So, and he does a phenomenal job. So again, with the belief, and Carrie can speak more to it, that your kids are going to learn by the mistakes they make, and they are going to make mistakes over these next 3 years. They're going to make bad choices. But our job, and Carrie does a really great job working with the kids and with the parents on helping them learn from their mistakes. So a call from Mr. Gavin isn't the end of the world. It just means that your kids are going to grow out, right, Carrie? It's not the end. They don't dread the phone calls from you.
No, it's never the end of the world. And like Suzanne said, this is the time to make the mistakes so that you learn from them. All the consequences are small. But they make plenty of mistakes. It's okay. It's normal.
And then Carrie also is in charge of the PBIS, Positive Behavior Intervention Supports, which is something that we go by with the kids on teaching them how to behave, rewarding their behaviors. So he's in charge of that with the staff and the students. I myself, I am in charge of the special ed in the building. I've been in Greenwich in special ed for 24 years, so it's my thing. It's my passion. So, and I also deal with any interventions, kids who have need interventions for whatever reason, academic. I work with the staff and around organizing that. And I'm also, my favorite is all the testing that we do. I'm in charge of the testing. So it's like my favorite. We're getting right into testing season right now. But those are some of our responsibilities.
And yeah, we overlap quite a bit. Like,
Yeah.
Carrie's the only one of the discipline, and we don't all own each grade, but these are kind of our primary responsibilities as we go through. Michael, next slide, please. So I mentioned earlier, I introduced Ralph and Alex as team leaders. Let me tell you a little bit about teaming and what teaming is. So next year is actually a pretty big class for us. It's about 223 kids as of now, which is our current 8th grade class as well. The class leaving is about the same size as the class coming in. In order to make this larger school seem smaller, we cut those in half. So there'll be about 110 kids on each team. Each team consists of six academic teachers, 2 English teachers, a math, a science, a social studies, and a special education teacher also assigned to a team. Your kids have academic teachers with the same academic class with the same 5 teachers. So everyone in social studies on Ralph's team has the same teacher. Everyone in math on Alex's team has Alex. That's how that works. So when we sit around a table talking about your kid, they all have your child. They do that every single day. We have a chance to meet as a team to talk about everything from, behaviors to parent conferences to, kid progress, to assessments every single day. So that's really nice. So we really wrap around the services around your child that way. Next slide. And Alex and Ralph, you want to kind of introduce the staff who's not here?
Sure. I'll go through my team. Again, I'm Mrs. Shuck, Alex Shuck, and I teach math. And on my team this year, I have Mrs. Drum and Miss Carlin. And for social studies, we have Mr. Lohmeyer. For science, Miss Trombetta. And for special ed, we have Miss Gaffney these teachers change. So next year, we would have a different special ed teacher.
Yeah, Suzanne, want to talk about the special ed model?
Yeah, so we loop with our special ed students and teachers, so they will have the same special ed teacher for the 3 years. We tend to try and keep the whole team together. So there are sometimes, individual changes for whatever reasons, but for the most part, we find that the consistency with the families and the students has been a tremendous help. It allows just consistency throughout the 3 years.
Right. Ralph?
Okay, again, my team, it's myself, Mrs. McGrath for English. In math, we have Miss Green. Social studies is Mrs. Ross, and for science is Miss Summers. And for guidance, Mrs. Fina.
Yeah, Ms. Peter will be back in the fall. Next slide, Michael. And at this time, can you talk, Erin? I know you're not Miss Fina. It says Miss Fina, but it's not you. Can you talk a little bit about the role of a guidance counselor? Because I think it's new for elementary parents. And what do you do?
I do whatever you need. So school counseling, the role is new in middle school. While elementary schools have a school psychologist and a school social worker who deal with smaller populations, the school counselor is available to the entire caseload and grade of students. So Mrs. Fina, over the 3 years of middle school, will get to know every single one of your children. She'll be a part of every team meeting and talking to the teachers about their progress, their concerns, their victories, whatever the case may be. She will be available to you guys for phone calls and emails and questions, whatever it is that comes up. So on a typical day, today, let's talk about today. So I changed a couple schedules today. I dealt with students who are having some social issues. I met about curriculum for teachers and professional development. I had 3 parent phone calls, so literally anything. I equate the school counseling position to triage or the info booth at the mall. And at any point, if there's something that you're unsure of and don't know where to go for the answer, you can reach out to your school counselor and ask them for help. And if they're not the person, they will direct you to the person who can help you. So it's really just a great resource for kids. We do a lot of academic and social emotional counseling, and we're available to the entire grade of our caseload. So you don't have to be assigned or have any kind of plan in place in order to visit or see us or access us for help. We're really there to support the entire grade throughout their time in middle school.
Thank you, Erin. Next slide, Michael. Suzanne, you want to kind of talk about the special ed team and the mental health team?
Yep. So like we said, Ms. Fina will be the guidance counselor for all 3 years. We have Dr. Knox, who's a psychologist, Ms. Powers, who's a social worker, and Ms. Gibson, who's our teen talk counselor. Ms. Gibson Dr. Knox and Ms. Powers typically work with students who have IEPs or 504 plans that require counseling. Ms. Gibson often works with our general ed students who might be displaying some difficulties in certain areas. So she's usually our first line of a kind of support. Again, the team has really been together for a while. We work really well together. As a team, we meet twice a cycle with administration and mental health to kind of keep everybody in check with what's going on, get feedback from one another. So it's a really, really great team model. And then Ms. Young, who has been fabulous this year and has worked harder than many people in this district, is our wonderful school nurse. So she will be reaching out to parents when needed. And she's great with the kids. So it's a really great overall mental health team.
And to just piggyback on what Ms. Coyne said, that's 6 mental health professionals for like 620 kids. That's a really good ratio. The town really supports mental health. We need them. They're very, very busy people. And we also meet as a group twice a cycle, just talking about cases and kids and just making sure that nothing gets slipped through the cracks, so to speak. Michael, next slide. Suzanne, you want to kind of go through what we've been talking about elementary schools so far?
Yep. So we're really right now in the midst of planning for your kids to come next year. So Ms. Fina and Mr. Weinstein have already met with the elementary school teachers and administrators really to talk about class placement, to make sure that your children are being put in their appropriate level classes. So that already happened. What's happening right now, we actually have sharings over the next 2 days, is we're meeting with the teachers in smaller groups. So we have our guidance counselor, and right now Ms. Fina's replacement will be joining, and Mr. Weinstein typically meet with the general ed teachers, and we just hear about your child, how they are as kids, any areas they're struggling in. any kind of supports they feel like they need. At the same time, myself and my special ed team meet with, if your child is special education services, we meet with their special ed teacher. And again, to look at their IEP, to ask any questions, and talk about anything we might want to talk at a PPT that we'll have in April, which I'll send out information about that. In June, typically we've had our 5th graders come in person. We're not gonna be able to do that this year, but we're planning on Google Meets, which we did last year and actually went pretty well. We'll have a Google Meet with all of the elementary schools, with all the kids, with administration, with guidance. It's a chance for us to kind of explain to the kids what it's like, and then they have a chance to ask questions, which is always fun to hear their questions. So that will be happening in June. And then in August, pretty much it's the half day, the day before. It's at like around 6 o'clock. We have an ice cream social, which hopefully we'll be able to do in person, where kids come in and the teachers scoop out ice cream for the kids. And you get to see your friends you haven't seen all summer, meet new kids and new families. So it's a really nice, well-attended event. So that's what will be happening in the next couple months.
Thank you. Next slide. Mr. Gavin.
Finally, Mr. Beinstein allowing me to talk. Anyway, no surprises here, right? These are the 5 main core academic areas in any school: social studies, science, math, English, and world language. We also have a plethora of unified arts or elective classes, as you might call them, that we'll get into after. But social studies, basically, it's geography and cultures of East Asia, Europe, and South America. That's the only non-leveled academic course we have, meaning all students are kind of mixed in together in those classes. In science, we have an on-level and an advanced. They talk about human body, weather, chemistry, ecology. They kind of hit the gamut of topics in science. Math, there are 3 levels. Level 6, or math 6 is on level. 6A we call a single jump, meaning it's one level above on level. And then pre-algebra is a double jump, so it's 2 levels above. And a range of topics: fractions, decimals, integers, ratios. English, we have on level and advanced, also known as ALP. You may have heard in elementary school, readers and writer workshop model. And they want the kids to be critical, analytical thinkers. They do fiction, nonfiction, historical fiction, poetry. And then finally, my subject that I used to teach, French and Spanish, are our 2 options in middle school. And there is an on-level, an advanced, and a native for Spanish speakers.
I didn't make a slide for this. We should probably talk about the elective options as well. Erin, do you want to speak a little bit what else they can get as 6th graders?
Sure. This is off memory, so I think I get extra points for this. But
You will,
in our
you will.
performing arts groups, we have an orchestra program, a band program, and a chorus program. And all 3 of those in a typical year have concerts, both in the wintertime and as well in the spring. We also have a general music course offering. So students who don't participate in a performing arts can do general music. We have art, consumer science, which covers cooking, sewing, a couple of different topics like that. We offer technology. We have digital literacy and health for 6th and 8th grade. And every single student receives PE throughout the school year. What am I forgetting?
You got it all.
I think that's it.
And from a parent perspective, the only choice you guys really get to make are which language, either French or Spanish, and which performance group. That's chorus, strings, or band. Everything else you just kind of fall into. Go ahead.
Which performance group, if you want one. You do not have to be a part of a performance group. That's sometimes a misconception. Sometimes the 6th grade students feel that they were told they must choose an instrument or chorus, and that is not true. They do not have to do it if it's not something that they're interested in continuing.
Right. And we call these electives, but it's kind of a misnomer because with the exception of the music choice or the world language choice, you fall into a course. We try to get you art before you leave middle school and consumer science before you leave middle school, but we can't get you everything every year. It's just not the opportunity. And this is middle school. You should be exposed to everything. Like, you can't, well, I don't want to take art. I can't draw. Well, all the reason you should take art. So we want to make sure we expose you to everything. Next slide. Karen, good luck explaining this to parents.
That's how I was going to start my comments. Was I'm being tasked to do the impossible. Unless you went to Greenwich High School, which I did, this does not look like anything but hieroglyphics to you. To us, it is a rotating block schedule. We have, every student has 8 blocks that they are scheduled for. 5 of those blocks are academic, 3 of them are elective, based on the courses that Ms. Montague and I just kind of detailed. Those courses rotate, and the core academic classes, your math, your social studies, your science, your English, meet every day when the block meets. So for instance, we have an 8-block schedule, 8 blocks available to a student, but only 6 meet per day. So that means we drop 2 every day. So if you look at day A, blocks 1 through 6 meet, blocks 7 and 8 are dropped. So on that day, if you had science block 7 and art block 8, you wouldn't have those classes that day. You meet everything else. The next day, you'd have those classes, but drop 2 other classes. This is something that your kids will be able to explain to you very, very quickly in the beginning of next school year. They're going to pick this up like that. Unfortunately, our older brains don't. So I'm going to leave it at that. If you have any questions, the color coding helps, but not that much. Just it's an 8. You have 8 blocks total, 6 meet every day. The good part of the rotating schedule is that your kids are not seen by the same teachers at the same time every day. Some kids are better in the morning. Some kids are better in the afternoon. This gives teachers the opportunity to see kids at their best, whenever that might be for the individual student.
All right, thank you. Next slide, Michael. Your turn, Kerry.
This is almost as confusing as the previous slide, in the sense that your academic classes meet every day the block meets. If you have, in this case, block 2 science, every day on that previous slide schedule, every time that you see a block 2, you will have science class. So on the 8-day cycle, you meet 6 times. All the elective courses, unified arts, the PE, the health, digital literacy, and so on, consumer science, music, they meet every other day on a rotating pattern. So, every other time block 1 meets, you will have PE. And on the times when PE does not meet block 1, you would have health or digital literacy, depending on the marking period. Again, this is something that your kids will be very able to, very capable of explaining come the fall, but they get to live it on, a few days before they have to explain it to you. Right now, in 30 seconds is not optimal time to try to explain a rotating block schedule. But again, reach out if you're really enthralled by the idea of learning about the rotating block schedule, and I will have a conversation with you.
Before we switch over, thank you, Kerry. Suzanne, you want to talk a little bit about the intervention, the ESL, the special education, the reading and math interventions we offer, and how that would fit in?
Yep. So typically, we have, usually it's in the elective block, the unified arts block. If a child has special education or they're coming in with an intervention plan, they may be getting a reading intervention or a math intervention. We have some kids who, if they struggle with executive functioning skills, like monitoring their work, organization, we have something we call an academic support class for all gen ed students. They would miss something from their electives. So they might, if they might not take a music class, or they might, we always have kids take PE. So they might be pulled out of that. If we have kids who have more significant services, like they may have an academic lab for special education on it, 6 times a cycle, they may choose not to take Spanish for middle school, which is fine. There's no requirement in middle school that kids have to take Spanish. They can start with a Spanish in high school. Sometimes we have kids that take Spanish in middle school, and then they decide to take French or Italian or Chinese at high school. So it's not a requirement. So sometimes you make a choice that it makes more sense for the child to get their interventions or their services in their IEP instead of taking a language. So depending on, some of your kids might come in needing academic lab if they have an IEP 6 times a cycle, or sometimes 3 times a cycle. So all kids, whether they get interventions or special ed supports, will still have electives in their schedule. What's nice about this rotating block schedule, it allows for us to have more interventions in place while the kids can still take some electives, but they will, miss out on some electives one year or to next year if they have some interventions.
We have to there's a finite amount of time, right? We have to prioritize. If your child needs more help with math, then that's what we're going to do. We have to get them ready for high school. Right. Thank you, guys. Next slide. So next couple slides, I'm going to turn over to Ms. Montague, who's going to talk about the AVID program, kind of what it is and how it kind of drives what we do at Western.
So as many of you know, Western is a magnet school, which means that anyone that attends the Greenwich Public Schools can make the choice to attend the best middle school in town, being Western. Our theme that drives our magnet and allows kids to attend Western, which makes Western different than Central and Eastern, is that we are an AVID school-wide school. What that means is a little bit of what you see on this slide here. We use a lot of these bullet points to drive the decisions that we make every day. So we talk about the culture of being Western being very unique. So we have a college and career readiness and awareness culture at Western, which means that we expose kids to all of the opportunities ahead of them. And we do that because we do a ton of goal setting. We want kids to connect their work habits right now and their choices with performing arts groups or their choices with after school clubs or sports to inform their goal setting. And so a lot of what we do is talk about, where are you right now this week or this cycle? What is there something that you want to improve upon or get better at? We do a lot of goal setting within each academic course where the kids really reflect on the assessments that they take. We try to get them to understand where were the mistakes that you made, how might you study or prepare differently to improve and do better in the next time. So we have this real culture of goal setting and awareness of what's to come in the future. We also spend a lot of time on executive functioning. We do something called progress monitoring, and this is one of the biggest ways that we executive function. You'll see a slide, I think it's the next slide, you'll see a couple of examples of what that looks like. But in the meantime, we also do a lot of core strategies across the entire school. So our teachers, whether you're in 6th grade or 8th grade, we have a common language and approach to instruction and the curriculum across the district. So while the teachers across town are teaching the same concepts and students are expected to master the exact same information, our teachers ensure that the strategies they use for teaching really pick out the specific student skills that we need to see our students show growth and progress on. They use the same language across classes. So if you're learning how to write an essay in English class and you're using 3-part source integration on how to set up using or citing an example, using a quote and how to explain that, our teachers are using this not only in English for an essay, but also in science when you show research or when you do a lab report. And so we have common language and expectations across the school building, and it really helps make the experience for kids consistent. And we are working on the same student skills throughout their day and throughout their experience, which really allows them to focus on what their strengths are and where they have areas of growth. The next slide, please. I think this is progress monitoring. So this is an example of the progress monitoring sheet that our students send home. Essentially, we ask the students once per cycle, so once every 8 days, they open up Aspen, which is our live grade book, and the students and parents have access at any point to see not only your grade average, but how that's broken down into categories. So for example, what is your grade percentage for informal work, which is homework and classwork, and formal work, which is tests and quizzes. So we ask the students to break that down because it helps to inform some of the goal setting. For example, if your informal average is very low, students might set a goal for the next 8-day cycle that they want to work on making sure all of their material or all of their work is turned in on time, and that maybe they're writing their assignments down on a consistent basis to improve that percentage to their total grade. We also ask them to identify if they're missing assignments in a course and how many they're missing. And then we have them write an email home. So every single cycle, every single student sends an email home to their parents with this sheet, and they let them know, here's how I'm doing right now in my classes. Here's how many assignments I'm missing. Here's the goal that I'm setting for this cycle. Here are my action steps to help me achieve this goal. And here's how you can help me at home. So it's proven pretty effective. We've also worked this year, we call cafe time, which is essentially study hall time or the opportunity to work on this action plan. So if your goal is to work on missing assignments, right there in advisor base after you've progress monitored, you have the opportunity to carry out that goal and to see some success and grow in some self-confidence and work with your teachers for help. Next
Next
slide.
slide, Michael.
We also work really hard on our school planners. So we have the students, the teachers make sure students are writing their homework down every day. We loosen up as the year goes around. Mr. Gavin's holding the front cover over there. We loosen up a little bit because we are trying to push for independence, but for students who need, we have a couple students in 8th grade, for example, who get their planner signed every day because we're trying to help them learn this habit of creating a to-do list, writing down the expectations, and finding a way to work through those expectations every afternoon. So I would say we're pretty skilled at the executive functioning piece, and we work really hard to make sure that if a student has specific needs that don't fit the general population of what we're doing in all classes, we can use all of our AVID strategies and all of the tools that we have to, formulate a specific plan for that child. And all of the teachers are really good at jumping on board and helping to make sure that the child makes progress and is successful.
Thank you, Erin. Michael, next slide. Suzanne, you want to talk a little bit about the grading?
Yes, sorry. So as Erin said, Aspen is our family portal, and it's a live grade book. We do recommend, at the start that you review it with your child. They will be able to show you their grades, but you also have the ability to check by signing in. It's a great thing. It could be a great thing, but also it's something that sometimes, we want to caution to not check it every day. Sometimes parents can check it too much. So that's our goal. Knowing that your child is going to check it once every 8 days at least, send you home an email with how they're doing, should allow you to have to back off a little bit from feeling like you have to. But it's a good thing to go over with your children once in a while. You can set it up so you can have alerts. Again, caution with that, because sometimes you don't want to set up so you're getting alerts every second, because they are in middle school. They're going to get some bad grades. They're going to get some poor test grades. So just, be cautious of how much you want to set the alerts. We go from A+ to Fs, and kids, have the ability to increase their grade pretty easily if they use, progress monitoring and the supports. And then we don't, mail home report cards, but they are posted. You'll get an email from Mr. Gavin when it lets you know when it's time to see your child's grade. And then in the beginning of the year, since it's new to you all, we will have a boot camp for parents to teach you all the ins and outs of Aspen, how to set the alerts, how to log on. But it's a great way. We always say, Gordon always says, there should be no surprise. You shouldn't be shocked at the end of the quarter that your child has a low grade because you've had access the whole time and you're getting the progress monitoring emails. And the goal is by 8th grade, you have less and less involvement with monitoring because your child has learned these skills and they are monitoring themselves and they're reaching out to their teachers and we're getting them ready for high school. So you might start off in 6th grade a little more involved, but the goal is for you to be able to back off and put it on your child to take ownership of their grades.
Yes, a couple things I learned.
Add,
Go
really
ahead,
take advantage of that parent boot camp, because a lot of parents decide to just kind of piggyback on their child's account. And often, believe it or not, middle school kids will forget their password and therefore not allowing their parent to see anything on Aspen. So make sure you have your own password and are knowledgeable about that, so that some of those middle school hijinks don't get you.
Just one other suggestion I learned the hard way myself. For the alerts, I used to set it up so that any grade below, let's say an 80, would pop up. So the only time I was talking to my kid about his grades is when he messed something up. So I changed it to any grade. So now any grade pops up. I can open it or not, but this way I can also say, nice job, you got 95 on this, instead of just yelling at him every time you got a 75. So it's just something to think about when you're setting up your alerts there. The reality is, the only way you don't know how your child's doing if you choose not to know. There's a kind of no way not to know their progress as we go through. Next slide, please. Ralph, talk about how we support the kids while they're here.
Okay. So the teachers in 6th grade are very willing to offer extra help during lunch, after school, and homework club. This year we weren't able to do after school, so we tried out something that during what Miss Montague mentioned, that cafe time, that we could rotate students during advisor base into other classes where they can get extra help in certain subject areas. So in the past, though, we would definitely offer after school, and we try to offer it at different days. So math would offer it like Monday and English Tuesday. And this way that students they wouldn't have to choose between a certain subject area. And if you like during lunch, there's kids in every room getting extra help or eating lunch with a teacher. And it's a great thing. And I know that, sometimes a student needs help with like homework or test prep or project or something. And all they have to do is, mention to the teacher, and everybody's really willing to offer extra help or have a student come up to them. It's a really nice group of teachers in the 6th grade.
Agreed, Ralph. Thank you. And the proof. Next slide, Michael. And we're not all about just schoolwork here. Alice is talking about the fun stuff that goes on.
So we have a lot of offerings here after school. Again, we weren't able to do many of these this year, but we're looking forward to this next year. There's an intramurals program that anyone can participate in. They rotate through the different sports depending on the season. So many of them are listed there. And that's the kids can just show up and play after school. And I believe this runs till 4 o'clock, and they can take the late bus home. The clubs, we offer many clubs. There's a couple listed here, but there's something for everybody. So they can stay for homework club, like Mr. Marmor mentioned, but there's many other things as well. So there's something for the arts, for the theater. Hand in Hand is a volunteer program. So there's many things that your students can get involved in and stay after to get involved at school.
And before we switch slides, a couple of things. Different than elementary school where the PTA runs these after school clubs, there's a fee. There's no fee. So if your child wants to do flag football or whatever it might be that he wants to do, they can do it. The only thing we ask is they talk to you about it beforehand so you don't call up panicking. Where's Johnny? He would never not come home without telling me, well, he's off playing tennis or he's off playing floor hockey. But it's drop in. So intramurals is drop in. Not all the clubs are drop in. For example, the theater club is a commitment. That's like a sport because you're putting on a performance. Hand in Hand is kind of a commitment too. Homework club is, call it a club so you want to come, but very often you're invited to homework club because you're having homework completion issues. So we call it a club though, but it's more about you're coming to homework club. But these other things are available and they change throughout the seasons. The gym teachers are really good about talking about intramurals, and then the club people will all push out the information as they become available.
And then the other thing with the clubs, we do a club fair early on, so the kids are kind of exposed to all the different options. And I will say we have 3 current 8th graders that when they were 6th graders were looking for an anime club. So they came to see me and were able to find some faculty advisors that would help support their desire to have an anime club. And so even as 6th graders, if there's something that they want to do that's not currently being offered, they can certainly come to an adult and try to get something started.
Thank you. Next slide, Michael. Alex, still you.
Yep, we also offer competitive sports that your students are welcome to try out for the teams. Like I said, these are competitive and there are tryouts held. So in the fall, there's boys soccer, which I've coached for the past 10 years. There's an A team and a B team. The
I'm sorry,
A team
the town
generally
champion boys soccer team, Alex? The town champion boys soccer team? Yes, that's what you wanted to say.
The A team tends to be 7th and 8th grade boys. The B team is some 7th graders, but the 6th graders definitely have a chance to make it. So encourage your kids to try out, especially for all of these teams that offer an A and B team. It's kind of like a JV varsity level type thing for middle school. There's also girls soccer, field hockey, and volleyball is co-ed in the fall. In the winter, we offer boys basketball. And again, there's an A and B team. So many 6th graders try out and make the B team. The girls basketball also has an A and B. And in the spring, we have softball, baseball, and track.
Couple of things about the sports. We don't deny anyone the opportunity to try out for the A team. We've had some amazing, recently girls basketball team players who are on the A team from 6th grade on. It happens occasionally in softball and baseball as well. So you're not, or soccer too. You're not limited to whatever team you're best fit on is where we put you on. There are cuts though. With the exception of track, there's a limited amount of space, a limited amount of uniforms, a limited amount of coaches. So this is where we get to kind of cut our teeth a little bit out. And not everyone's good at everything. And baseball, especially if you're a 6th grader, that ball's coming in at 75 miles an hour. You're on the big field. It's a different world than what you just left in Cal Ripken. So, but I encourage them to try out. 1, you never know. And 2, I think getting cut is a great life lesson. My own son got cut 6th grade from baseball, 7th grade for baseball. Didn't make the team till his 8th grade year. He ended up being the varsity starting catcher by the senior year. So people mature at different phases, at different times. Just encourage them to try out. And if they don't make it, there's a life lesson and trip to the ice cream cone. Next slide. I have this for Erin, if you don't mind.
Sure. So again, Gordon was saying before, or maybe it was Suzanne or Carrie, one of you was saying, there's no reason for you to not know what's going on. We over communicate in so many ways, and we communicate often. So you will get the weekly emails from Gordon. You already are. You have access to our WMS website. You have your own access to the online gradebook, which is Aspen. Your student sends home progress monitoring every cycle. We have a communication goal amongst each team that the teachers will reach out to you to, let you know how your student is doing, whether they're having a great day or a bad day, or they see room for improvement, or they're concerned. We oftentimes at team reach out as a group and let you know how things are going. Your teachers will also send out emails at the beginning of a unit to let you know what your child is about to embark on in the upcoming unit, as well as a lot of times a reminder for an upcoming test or access to a study material. We really communicate all the time. You have access to guidance and the school counselor. A lot of times we will send out grade-wide communications for reminders, or just to give you a general update for things that we see across the grade, or things that we're hoping to help the kids improve on. We also reach out on behalf of the team quite often. And your child will have access to Google Classroom, which they enroll for every single course in a Google Classroom course, and their homework assignments are posted there daily. We don't do parent conferences like elementary schools do. At the end of a marking period, there's not a regularly occurring parent conference, but we can set up parent conferences by making a request to the counselor, or by the counselor reaching out and making a request to you if the team wants to meet with you to chat about your child and work on some common goals and areas of improvement. So we really do over communicate, and you can get a hold of us very easily if you need to.
Thank you, Erin. Next slide, Michael. Erin, this is you too.
Okay. These are just some tips for you guys and what we think will help your kids be successful. We really need them in school. Now more than ever, we really need them in school, and they need to be on time. So they've got to show up and be prepared to learn. We all know what it feels like to run into something late, to have to get your bearings and get started. In a normal year, our doors open at 7:20 or 7:40, excuse me. So the kids should be at school at that time. They should get to their first class. Mr. Beinstein likes to say butt in seat. So they need to be ready to go when we do the morning announcements at 8 o'clock and get started at school. That's their best chance of being successful, is to be at school all the time and on time. They need to be prepared with materials. So they need to charge their Chromebook every single night. The kids will be turning in their iPads that they have in 5th grade and receiving a Chromebook. They return their iPads to the elementary school, if I'm not mistaken, at the end of the year. And then within the first week or so of school, we give them a Chromebook. They have to go through some lessons about how to use it, but we give them a Chromebook. They get a binder from us, and the PTA pre-packages supplies, so you can easily purchase everything your child needs right from our PTA. And as long as they have their materials and they're prepared, they are more likely to be successful. They need to be respectful. We have Mr. Gavin runs the PBIS, Positive Behavioral Interventions and Supports. And if they're following our district and school norms and they're being respectful, even though these 3 years can be a little dicey, we will help them be successful and work through anything that they need. We need them and you to take ownership. All the information you need is out there, and we are going to work really, really hard to make sure that they see success. So we need them to want to be a part of that success. We can't want them to do better than they want to do. So it's really important that we keep up to date on all of these platforms and systems that we have, and we're teaching the kids to be an active member of their own education, which brings us to self-advocacy. The kids, we will teach them this. We don't expect them to come in from 5th grade having mastered this, but we will be pushing them pretty early on to reach out to a teacher. We model what that looks like, how to ask for help, how to be a part of that process and help yourself. So please trust us. We do this every single year, and come along for the ride and help us push them on these couple of things that will make them be successful pretty quickly.
Thank you, Erin. And second to last slide, Michael. So this is my job. I can tell you how to do your job, which is a little bit not fair. But anyway, here's the deal. The school calendar comes out early in the year. You know what the dates are. We have vacations built in. Please stick to them. There's been an increase of people who, extending their vacations. And this year is different, and I get it, and I'm a little more lenient here. But assuming we have a normal year next year, let's please follow the school calendar and don't take extended vacations. Your kids do not catch up. They're always chasing if you take extended vacation. Drop off and pickup procedures. Again, assuming a normal year, if they can walk, let them. If they can take the bus, let them. Otherwise, you're going to sit in traffic, and I can't fix it. I can't fix it because no matter how many times I say, don't come right at 7:50, everybody comes at 7:50. So if you need to drive your kid to school, please get them here at 7:30, 7:40. If you wait until 5 to 8 o'clock, you're going to sit in line, and I can't help you with that.
That actually came up this morning. Mr. Weinstein was in my office early and said, "Oh my gosh, 7:45. There's no line here."
Right,
So
and then at 7:50, it was backed up. So just please do yourself a favor, and again, walk, bus. If you have to drive, get here early. Again, check Aspen and Schoology. I think the fourth button is really important. Kids thrive with structure. If they have a set time and place when they do homework every night, I think that will be really helpful to them. Again, each schedule is different. Maybe they go to baseball, then they come back. Maybe they do homework before they go to hockey. I don't know. You have to know what's best for your family, but they should need about an hour is what we say. The 60 minutes, give or take, another 15, 20 minutes to read for sixth graders to do homework every night. Sometimes it's just reviewing notes, sometimes preparing for a test, but there should be a time and place when they know, okay, 7 to 8 o'clock, it's my homework time. And the more consistent you can make that, the better off your child's going to be. Communicating with staff. Again, this is where when I said it looks a little bit different, encourage your child to have the initial conversation. Again, every child is different. I know you saw my kids earlier. Emma, the middle one, would have talked to anybody from the time she was 3. Connor, the younger one, not so much. So maybe you have to role play a little bit. Maybe you have to make the initial call or to preempt the call. But we want to try to hand over the responsibility to your child as quickly as we can, as much as we can. Also, don't believe everything your child says happened in school. He did not get sent to the office for no reason. I promise. There was a reason. I don't know what it was, but it's not going to be what he tells you it is. So if it doesn't sound right, reach out. Mr. Gavin, I heard he got sent there. Likely, if he got sent, we would have called you anyway, but just as an example. So be sure you reach out to us if anything doesn't sound right. That's administration, guidance, or the teacher specifically. And finally, the enable table. The enable table exists for forgotten items. I wish it didn't, because what we find is you enable your child. If he forgets his lunch that you made nicely for him, put on the counter, and he forgets to bring it to school, and you bring it to school, the lesson he learned is, I don't need to bring my lunch to school. And it's not surprising the same parents show up 3 times a week with the lunch. The parent who says, you know what? You're not getting your lunch today. We still feed them, trust me. They get something to eat. It may not be what you wanted. They'll get a sandwich or something. We're not going to let them starve. Once they have the sandwich they don't necessarily love, they'll stop forgetting their lunch. And remember to bring it. This is true for sports equipment and instruments and everything, homework. Let them get the minor consequence for not having their homework. Don't rush it in. We're not going to nail them. They're not going to miss out on Harvard if they miss a homework assignment, but they have to learn the lesson. They have to take responsibility. And again, the more you enable them, the harder it's going to be for them to take responsibility. So that's kind of my preaching to you guys. Excuse me. So again, we can do this together. We are partners in this. And I think it's really important that we work together. If something doesn't sound right, call. Something doesn't feel right, call. We really do get to know your kids very quickly. And we're here for them all the way through the time that they're here. So that basically concludes our presentation. The Q&A, if you could, next slide, Michael. Any questions you have, please type in the Q&A. And Patty, you want to just ask them in Spanish as well to do the same? You're on mute, Patty, sorry.
Yes, sorry. Si tienen alguna pregunta o tienen una duda, por favor, escriban donde dice pregunta y respuesta y ahí le contestaremos lo necesario.
Thank you. So I'll start going down the questions as they come up. I already did the Walmart one. Sorry, we can't do orientation in person. Someone had technical issues. I'll skip that one. Okay. If we have a 504, oh, sorry, just keep shut down. The language is not required. Not exactly.
Yeah.
Part of the core curriculum is a world language. So every child should get a world language. The only ones who do not get a language are those whose schedule do not allow it because they have so many other supports in place. So for example, there are some students in ELL who don't get a language, so they get ELL support. There are some students in special education who don't get a language because their supports don't allow for it or they have other priorities. But everyone who can take a language should take a language. I would say 95% of our kids take a language here. So it is part of the core curriculum. Do I foresee an option for Google Meets to join classes next year, 6 days, 3 days, etc.? I don't know. It's beyond my pay grade. My personal preference, I want to see your kids in front of you. This year we had the virtually present option where if a kid was sick or had some of the symptoms, we didn't want to come to school so they could log in. That was significantly abused. It's a nice day. Let's not go to school today. It's raining out. Let's not go to school today. So we had a lot of kids not in school who should have been in school. But again, that's beyond my pay grade. I don't know yet what that's going to look like. That's really a superintendent or even governor decision, to be honest with you. We'll do whatever they ask. I am building a pre-COVID schedule. So we're going to have school like we had school in 2018-19. That's my hope. Whether you have other options or not, I just don't know. Suzanne, you want to answer the next question? If a child has an IEP, can you choose that you do not take a language and have those academic labs, et cetera, instead?
Yeah, so again, we do have many special ed students that have IEPs and interventions that take a language. But if your child's needs are at the level where they want to have, they need more frequent academic labs or they need any additional supports, then that's a decision we make at the PPT. We will be having a PPT in May for all students coming next year. So that's something we could talk about at the meeting, and that comes up, but it's on a case by case, but definitely.
Erin, can you see the questions? You want to answer the next one?
Yes. There are certain students who come to guidance every day.
I don't think parents can see it. Can you read the question, Erin?
Students may be reluctant to go to guidance. Is there an affirmative outreach by the counselor to require students to meet with guidance 1 to 2 times per year, particularly for 6th graders? So I spent we normally do this, the first 1 to 2 weeks in the 6th grade classrooms and in the hallway and helping them with whatever they need, just being extremely visible to them. Students come to us often and frequently for anything. We see them in a lot of different scenarios, but we oftentimes will go through our entire caseload and make sure that we bring students to our office and the guidance suite, introduce them to the surroundings, let them know what we're here for. We pop into their classes all the time. So it's not just coming to guidance where they get to access us or see us. That's where our office is, but we are really visible throughout the building as well. And if you feel that your child needs to see the counselor for any reason, or you want to make the counselor aware of anything, I think knowledge is power. I'm better equipped to do my job the more you share with me. So feel free, not now, because Megan will not be answering emails until August or September, but feel free to reach out at the beginning of the year and fill her in on whatever it is that you'd like her to know. And she can certainly reach out. And we do covert ops all the time to get kids to our office without them knowing that you called, without them knowing that you told us what was going on. We're pretty slick like that.
To that point, though, while Megan is not with us until the fall, don't think you can't get your questions answered. Please feel free to reach out to myself or Suzanne or Carrie with any questions you might have. Again, especially if they're pressing about a schedule or something like that or a placement, give us a ring or an email. We'll jump on that for you. Good question here. How do they do summer IXL and reading if their iPads are turned in? You have the option of not turning it in as well. It's a really good question. They collect them, but you don't have to turn it in if you'd rather hold on to it and then turn it into us and they collect them later. That's an option too. It's a good point. Okay, there are school buses. I believe it is 1.5 miles away from the school that you are entitled. Maybe it's a mile. It's a mile or a mile and a half. I don't know. Where you're entitled to get a school bus. So we have 9 school buses. Actually 8 buses. Then we have a bus that goes to Boys and Girls Club as well. So we have a bus that picks up in the morning. It should be far enough away, and it takes you back home. We have 2 buses in the afternoon. There's a 2:55 bus when school gets out, and there's a 4 o'clock bus. So if kid wants to do a club, they can still get a bus to the Boys Club or home. Does it look like band will be typical next year? That's what I'm scheduling. I hope band, I hope chorus, I hope strings, I hope everything is. So yes. Will kids have access to lockers next year? That's a great question. We're actually debating that right now. I was talking to Mr. Healy at Central and Mr. Goldstein at Eastern. We're seeing a lot of benefits to no lockers. I don't know if Alex and Ralph want to speak to that as teachers, but the kids don't leave anything in their locker. They're prepared for class. They don't miss their bus. At the same time, they're carrying a heavy book bag, and there are some coats and stuff in the winter. So we're trying to weigh the pros and cons. I don't know yet. I just don't know. I'm open to either. And whatever I do, we'll probably do the same with Central and Eastern, so we're aligned. But we're all kind of saying the same thing. There's a lot of advantages to not having the locker. Excuse me. My son forgot to hand his enrollment to continuing Spanish. Just call your elementary school, and they'll make the switch. I don't actually have that information yet about Spanish, so there's still time. Just call the elementary school. Yes, it's being taped right now. The session is being recorded. That was the question. I will push that out with the copy of the PowerPoint and the PowerPoint in Spanish as well. Suzanne, what is an IEP or 504?
So an IEP.
An IPA, by the way, is
IPA
that's a different. That's a beer.
It's Gordon. Gordon likes IPA.
My favorite beer, actually. India Pale Ale, in case you want to buy one. Go ahead.
So an IEP is for students who have, had difficulties academically, social emotionally, and they've gone through the process of interventions, and they have, received testing that has identified them having a disability that requires specialized instruction. So, we have kids that come in and they have other services. 504 students are students that also will have a disability, but they might not require this specialized instruction, and they get more accommodations in the classroom, that to help them because their skills are pretty good. They don't rise to the level of needing an IEP, but they do benefit from having accommodations. So that's something that, your kids are coming in with those. And then if during their 3 years at middle school, we identify any kids that are struggling, we would reach out to you and put some interventions in place, see if we can intervene first before we had to move to the next step.
Thank you, Suzanne. Due to COVID-19, are they still asking people who can to drop their children off and not take a bus? That's this year. I'm hoping next year that's not the case. Again, it's to be determined. Part of the reason we're having the traffic backup is because more people are driving who normally would let their kid take a bus. And that's because the district encouraged them. I'm hoping next year is different. I'm hoping. Are there opportunities for students to meet others before the school year starts? I think Ralph mentioned, or someone mentioned, the ice cream social. That's a really big event. Most of the sixth graders show up. So that's something we're definitely gonna put in place. It's a kind of 2-hour hangout, talk to people, meet people. And maybe Suzanne can speak to this because her daughters came from a non-feeder school as well, and how quickly they adjusted.
Yeah, and my daughters came in last year, so they didn't have the visits that we've had typically. Usually the kids come and they see a play, they come in for a tour. My girls didn't have that. I did have them, and what we will do is for any of you that are not coming from our feeder schools, we will reach out with the Google Meet information so that they can join one of the Google Meets. I know my daughters did that. They joined a Google Meet, so they got to see kids from at least one school and answer questions. But honestly, I know they were twins, but they, from day one, have found different friends because they're just different. And we always find that, once they find that person they sit next to on the first day that they sit down with someone at lunch, they made friends really quickly. So, we went to the ice cream social, and it's surprising to see how many of kids you recognize across town if you're into any sports in the past or what have you. So it was really quick. We have a lot of kids. What's nice is a lot of kids they're all coming from 4 different schools. So if you're coming from a school on the other end of town, there's so many other kids who are coming and meeting all new kids. So it wasn't hard for them to meet new friends. And honestly, they have found such good friends in this first year. And they're maintaining their friends on the other end of town too. So they have an advantage going to the high school to have friends from all areas of town. So
I think it's also important. I mean, if you're magnating into 6th grade, that's the time to do it. I mean, I brought my kid in 8th grade, so what do I know? But everyone is new.
Yeah.
We have 10 kids from JC. We have 15 from Parkway. We have 20 magnet students. Then we have 40 from New Lab and 50 from Ham Ave, maybe 70 from Glenville. So while some people have a bigger group, there's so many new people coming in. This is the time to do it, and kind of everyone's kind of new. My daughter signed up for Math 6 and Science 6. Is it possible to change to advanced classes? Your kids don't sign up for an advanced level; they're kind of placed into one by their elementary teachers and their test scores. Let me talk a little bit about placement. We look at that very closely. Our goal is to stretch kids whenever possible. So an initial placement is not a final placement by any means. we move kids up all the time. And one of the things that's nice about middle school is there's no ALP teacher. Every teacher teaches every level. So for example, Alex has 3 levels of math. If she sees a kid in math 6 who's performing like a kid in her math 6A the next block, we'll make the switch. I mean, it's that quick and that easy to do. And actually, rather do it sooner rather than later so that they don't fall behind content-wise. So again, we really, really want to push kids up when it's appropriate. We don't want to overburden them though. So if you have a question about placement, I'm your guy. Give me an email and we can talk it through. I think I asked this question too. For advanced science and math, do they have different teachers? Again, there's no advanced teacher. So Alex has 3 levels of math, the science teacher has 2 levels of science, so they see them all. How many kids coming into the magnet program? We have about 20 this year. Actually, a new one just came in today. So I think it's 20, which is about 10% of the group. So it's a decent size. Are magnet students eligible for bus service? They are. But having had a kid do it himself, it's a long ride. Like I live literally on the Stanford border in Old Greenwich, and my kid was on a bus. It's not a separate bus for Connor. Connor was the first and the last stop of an existing loop. So he was on the bus for a while. So he came with me a lot, but he was on the bus for a while. It is an option though, for sure. How much time do kids have between classes? Typically 3 minutes. We find that's 2 minutes too many, but typically 3 minutes. If you haven't had a chance to walk the hallways here, I know, and I apologize for that. But their academic classes are in a wing. They're right across from each other. Literally, they're 4 steps away from one another. There are, if they have to go to art or gym and it takes 4 minutes, no one's going to nail them. It's okay that it takes 4 minutes. Do you have the magnet kids meet before school starts in September? Not separate from everyone else. So there's that big ice cream social. So we have everyone kind of come together and they mingle at that point. And like Suzanne said, after no one sits alone at lunch, everyone kind of jumps right in. After 2 or 3 days, a week, they'll find their home, I promise. Can I request that certain kids be placed in a different classroom for my child? Interesting. Usually they want the same. That is something we asked the feeder schools. That is there someone they should be with or not be with? If you want, again, I'd be the person for that. Normally be Megan, but I'll take that one on. If you want to email me and just say I prefer they not be on a team with this kid, we can make that happen. It shouldn't be a problem. Now that being said, there are some singletons. For example, there's one section of pre-algebra in 6th grade. So if it's a pre-algebra kid, they're going to be together. I can't fix that. But for the most part, we can separate them out. What is the magnet program? The magnet program is, it has been designed to lessen the racial imbalance that exists in this town, as will not be a surprise to many of you. We are much more diverse than the other 2 middle schools in town. So the idea was that you built a magnet school and kids from other areas would come here, and it's actually working. We have about 55 magnet kids next year, which is a record for us overall. So they are coming here, and that was the design behind it. There are 3 elementary magnet schools, and there's one at Magnet Middle School, which is us. Can kids switch electives in the middle of the year? Actually, they do. Erin, you want to talk about how we do elective scheduling?
Sure. So our electives are scheduled by semester. So at the semester mark, students will switch. If they had art, they may have consumer science now, or technology, they may have general music, or vice versa. So we don't allow them to switch in the middle of the term that the course takes place in. Again, normally every student gets the option to take, or not option, but they are exposed to every elective. And so if we were to switch your child in the middle of the semester, they would just have to take that first elective second semester anyways. Again, like Mr. Beinstein said, elective is kind of a misnomer because we only have so many options available, but what they are semesterized courses. So they are exposed to one each semester within the block that it's offered. So most of them will be exposed to everything for a semester at a time.
How many students per class? Right now, I have 223 next year. I have 10 sections of social studies and science and 11 of math and ELA. So between 20 and 22 is about our averages. Some are up and down, but about 20 to 22. It's a very manageable size. When do you submit elective choices? That should have happened at elementary school already. Again, the choices are the music choice or the world language choice. So I'd reach out to your elementary school because I don't know. That's a process I'm not involved in. I just get the final list after break. So I would reach out to your elementary school to be sure. That can't be the last question. Is it really? Oh, I got to thank you. Okay, you're welcome. again, I hope this did our goal was to get you excited about coming to Western, to alleviate any concerns or fears you might have had. I hope you can tell we love what we do. We love where we work. We love who we work with. And we actually do really enjoy your kids. As difficult as these 3 years are, we chose to be here for a reason. And we're in the place we belong, and your kids are in the place they belong to. So again, I think it's going to be a great 3 years, not without its bumps and bruises. I'm not suggesting that, but they will come out a better person and well prepared for the high school. So we will work in partnership as we go through. I see any questions popping up. Oh, I missed that one. Sorry, it popped down. Two more coming up. Let's see questions. Oh, just thank yous. Okay. Well, you're welcome. So again, any questions or concerns? I know Megan Fina being out should not stop you from emailing us. Myself, Suzanne, or Kerry, any of us, be happy to take it. So feel free to reach out. And like I said, we'll meet you with your kids in June. And then from that point on, we're ready to hit the road.
And to that last question, that's actually Mr. Beinstein himself in the picture behind him.
Yeah, he has his own picture in his office.
That's right.
Which one? Oh, this is, okay, wait. First of all, let me do this. I have my own bobblehead doll. Like, actually, my own kids made me this one for my 50th birthday, which, yes, I'm that old. And then the tech teacher got a new toy. So he decided to take a picture of me, and he made this thing. It's carved it into wood somehow. I don't know what it is. But that's when I was younger and prettier. Same hairdo, though. So, yes. Thank you, Carrie, for pointing that out.
It was asked.
All right, guys. Again, great. Have a great evening. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and we'll be in touch soon. Take care.
Bye.